Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime. We are at part 2 of the Lee Bell case. As a reminder, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is very strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. On April 1st of 2010, a social worker called the SFPD wherein she explained that Perla told her that Lee had attacked her again on March 8th of 2010. In fact, this was common, and Perla told the social worker that Lee had beat her up on at least 20 occasions. In the report filed by the city's Adult Protective Services, the social worker recounted Perla's fear for her life and that she feared that he was capable of unaliving her. Unfortunately, Perla refused to go on record and file a police report in order to get a restraining order. The next time SFPD Sergeant Al Lum worked on Perla's file was when she was identified on the 10 o'clock news as the woman who had been strangled, stuffed into a suitcase, and thrown into the San Francisco Bay. Following the attacks, Perla was placed into respite care. The physical violence did not stop, and by the end of April of 2010, Miss Perla's abusive boyfriend, Lee Bell, had landed her in the hospital yet again. This time, she was transferred to respite care, and while at the respite center, the staff had to make a note on her file to not allow Lee into the facility due to his obsessive calling and reports of physical abuse. On May 16th of 2010, she told the respite care staff at the center that she needed to go see Lee to get back some money that he had owed her. When Miss Perla failed to return the next day, they filed a police report. Miss Perla Ann Lewis was last seen alive on May 16th of 2010 by a receptionist at the Harcourt Hotel on Larkin Street in San Francisco. The desk clerk testified that they witnessed Lee speaking in an angry manner to Miss Perla. According to the autopsy report, this homicide's manner of death was strangulation, and she had suffered 30 bleeding injuries. After Lee Bell beat and strangled Miss Perla to death, he placed her naked and lifeless body into a suitcase and threw it into the San Francisco Bay. Regardless of whether or not Miss Perla was unhoused or struggled with substance abuse, she did not deserve to die. Especially because in the months leading to her murder, Miss Perla had told authorities that she had been attacked by the man who would end up killing her. 2 weeks after her body was found in June of 2010, Lee Bell was arrested for the murder of Perla Ann Lewis after authorities were able to obtain surveillance footage of him carrying a suitcase and DNA evidence on the suitcase that was a match to him. In June of 2010, Lee Bell pleaded not guilty for the murder of Perla Lewis at the San Francisco Superior Court in Civic Center, just a skip and a hop away from the Tenderloin. It wasn't until 7 years after her murder that the trial for this case commenced in May of 2017. Before opening statements even started at trial, Lee performed an outburst soliloquy telling the judge that he needed to be heard correctly. Judge Carol Yagi told him that he had 7 years to prepare for this moment. "You are not treating me with respect. All I want is for my attorney to hear me. Am I speaking English?" That is a direct quote from this man. Lee's outbursts continued all throughout the trial. The case had been delayed for so many years because he had changed attorneys over and over, saying that they were unfit to represent him. However, his own ability to stand trial was questioned. Outside the courthouse after the first day of what was a chaotic, not so orderly courtroom, Kareem Marshall told the press, and I quote, "We expected it to be long, but we didn't think it was going to be 7 years. I'm just happy we got to this place. This is going to be the closure we need," unquote. Assistant District Attorney Michael Swart asked the jury to convict the victim's partner, who was a murderer and a quote classic case of a man who physically abuses women, unquote. The jury was also shown surveillance footage of Lee at another hotel retrieving the suitcase that he used to stuff Perla's body in. Prosecutors also showed the jury the DNA found on the suitcase matched Lee Bell, and in June of 2017, jury deliberations finally started, and 3 days later, they came back with a guilty verdict. In April of 2018, a now 55-year-old Lee Bell was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for murdering Perla Lewis. Kareem Marshall, Perla's son, at the sentencing hearing stated the following while looking straight at his mom's killer, and I quote, "I've spent the last 8 years blaming myself for not protecting her. I forgive you. I pray and hope that you get right with God and that you find peace," unquote. Aisha Lewis, Perla's daughter, said, and I quote, "This has been a very long and hard 8 years for my family. I feel sorry for you. Your life is over. You have not shown remorse and you have played the victim." When given the opportunity to speak, the killer said, and I quote, "I'm exceedingly sorry. I cannot say that I murdered Perla, but Perla died because of me. I want to bring closure to the family. I've gotten better, but I still suffer from things," unquote. Lee told the judge that he suffered from mental illness and asked to speak privately with the family, and further asked to take a lie detector test to clear his name. Thankfully, the judge denied his request. If you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, please reach out for help before it is too late. We've reached the end of today's episode over at Bay Area Housewife of True Crime. Thank you so much for coming down the rabbit hole where I currently live. Stay tuned for the next episode on the next case. You can find full episode recordings of these on my Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Bay Area Housewife of True Crime. If you like my content, do me a solid and rate my show wherever you listen. I'm also on YouTube. As always, I accept and respect your opinions. I welcome all comments, questions, case suggestions, etc. Call me, beat me at yayareahousewife@gmail.com. And yes, that's yay area with the Y, like E40 said. I'll see you chismosas y chismosos in the next. Adios.